the bulls are faster, they're more athletic, they're bucking harder, they're hitting harder, they're everything that the animal's doing. You have this high caliber animal. Well, now, and no, if not calling anybody out, not saying anything, but to take the old school guys that fought bulls back in those days to throw it into the mix now, I think you're freaky your natures. The guys that was the prime then, they would probably figure out how to be in the game now, but for your average guys, you're talking a completely different game.
That's what I was going to ask. It's like watching basketball in the 1960s versus watching basketball today.
Now,
different athletes, different capabilities,
the
just a
game's
completely
changed.
different game. So, you got bigger, badder, scarier,
stronger, faster
bulls. And so the Cowboys, they've had to adapt,
Yes.
and so you start seeing the training regimens are getting serious. The nutrition is getting serious. These guys are pretty built. They're hitting the gym.
Well, and on the flip side, what's the almighty? That's the money. Why do these guys want to ride bulls? Why do these guys going to get on bucking horses? The roping events, everything is just because the money in rodeo is growing. And I feel like right now, rodeo, cowboy's cool again. The Western way of life is, we're really seeing a lot of big changes going on, and rodeo is bull riding, rodeo, PBR, PR, everything. Pro rodeo is just skyrocketing.
So there's been a lot of talk about the Yellowstone effect of that. Guys like Dale Brisby, your buddy, has had a huge impact on that. The money pouring in, as you say, has had a big impact on levels of interest. The sport now is...
You're talking guys that can legitimately make a living, a great living, and retire from being a rodeo athlete, which is something that's never been done until pretty recent,
Or even the expression rodeo athlete. Just that we're using the term athlete now, and not talking, rodeo cowboy. This is a rodeo athlete now.
That's right.
Because it's becoming a major mainstream sport. And, we do a lot of international business, and to talk to the guys from London or overseas, they're like so interested in the cowboy culture, the American cowboy, what that represents, how that identifies closely with American manhood, which I think has really been, in a lot of ways, questioned in the world over the last 20, 30, 40 years. What does it mean to be a man? And a lot of these questions kind of revolve around this image of the Marlboro Man, the American cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
And what does that ultimately mean? And so I'd be interested in, I guess, just hearing your take on, for the time that you've been in rodeo and the changes that you've seen, what else besides the Yellowstone effect and the money is, do you think, attracting people to this space and bringing more and more interest?
Well, I think for now, like everything that's going on, you've got a cell phone, you've got just the opportunity or the able to, right in the palm of your hand, stream and watch a rodeo, stream and watch your favorite athletes, social media, YouTube, everything that's going on, like it's so accessible now. So like you are starting to see, I think, a bigger fan base come because they can really find out who Stetson Wright is. They can really find out who, Jose Vitor-Leme, that has come from Brazil, that is now one of the most famous bull riders that's ever been in the game. Sage Kimsey, a 7-time PRCO world champion bull rider. They can, via social media, they're starting to learn who these people are, what they do. And yeah, they're not just goofy old cowboys that fell and bumped their head and do something crazy. This is a legit sport that is growing, and it's just neat, but it still has that authentic cowboy, bucking horses, bucking bulls, riding, roping, girls running barrels. I mean, it's just neat to be a part of this time frame and what's going on within the Western industry, because and outside of rodeo, you're talking the movie industry, you're talking I hate to keep bringing it up, but the Yellowstone effect and everything that's going on. It's a cool time to be a cowboy, and people they're clinging to that, we was in New York City for the PBR, and, for the 3 days of the year, everybody goes and buys a cowboy hat. Yeah. Everybody gets a pair of boots, gets a pair of Wrangler jeans, and shows up to the event. And not only New York City has become they're sports fans.
Sure.
You're at the most premier, most famous arena, the Madison Square Garden, so they know sports. And to see the Cowboys roll in, to see people go get their hats and come to the event, sell it out, and when these guys fall off their bulls, they boom. Like they know sports. So it's really neat to see just that. And for 3 days we go into the city and the concrete jungle, and it's legit. We're cool.
You've hit on something I think is really important. Growing up, I'm from New Bedford, Massachusetts, right? We don't have a lot of cowboys up there. Grew up in the city, one tree on my street. We never shot anything. We never roped anything. But I did have exposure to NFR because ESPN used to run NFR on Saturday mornings on ESPN. It was the only time I ever saw anything. Ty Murray riding bulls.
Or 2 a.m. in the morning.
Or 2 a.m., yeah. Fred Whitfield, I remember, the big roper. And so that was really the only exposure. And to your point, we have the Cowboy Channel, but besides that, there hasn't been a lot of traditional media exposure to pro rodeo, and that's changed a lot now with Instagram and with all the social media. And so a whole new generation, a whole different demographic of people are getting exposed to the excitement of the sport. And I think that's been I think to your point, like a really critical driver of how new
expansion
media
and growth.
Yeah, new media can really affect a sport like this. And so, where do you see the sport going? I mean,
I don't even think we're tipping the iceberg right now. I think there's so much opportunity, so much room, and especially like you said, the cowboy cool. It's cool again. So you're seeing new companies coming in, you're seeing new money flowing in, and when all that's mixed together, going to these premier events, the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo, the Las Vegas, I think the sky's the limit for it. I think at some point you're gonna be seeing multiple millionaire cowboys getting to do what they love and make a great living. I think you're gonna see the numbers just are gonna keep shooting up, and with money becomes more competition. With more competition, I think you're going to keep seeing the industry of the bucking horses, the bucking bulls. I think everything is just going to keep rising, and at some point, it's already a legitimate sport, but it's a sport that people can really get behind because there's no guaranteed contracts. There's no showing up and, well, my toe hurts today. I can't dribble the ball. There's guys getting on with broke legs, broke bones, torn ligaments, and man, they're crazy. Well, this is how they provide for their family. This is how they make their living. This is what we do. And when you put all that, it's easy to get behind a guy,